Welcome, everyone. I'm Chari Elam with the Bee Supply Monthly Magazine, and I have probably one of the sweetest, kindest people I know, and I'm gonna call him a good friend because I've known him for several years now, and I bet a few of you know him too. Stan Gore. How are you, Stan Gore?
Hey, good, Sherry. Good to see you. Thank you so much for doing this. As you say, so many people, you do a great job what you do. It's just a blessing and it's a good thing that I'm on here and talking to you. I love talking to you.
I
You
love
got a good,
talking to you. I love talking to you. We get to meet up at conferences from time to time.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I like your accent too.
Do you?
You yeah, you got a really good Texas accent.
I kind of do. I kind of do. I've been told that. The problem is when I think that way as well, and so
Uh-huh.
there's no getting rid of it. So if somebody doesn't
Well,
like
don't get rid of it. I love it.
well,
I'm
thanks,
Southern. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thanks. Well, if let's just pretend like there's not everyone that's listening today
Yeah.
knows who Stan Gore is. I love
All
your background, by the way. Who is
right.
Stan Gore?
Oh man. Well, the title I like to carry, a good friend of mine's a teacher and I'm a disciple of Christ disguised as a beekeeper.
Oh, I
And
love that.
and that's basically what it is. God put me into this thing. I didn't really ask for it. Real background real quick. My granddad was a beekeeper, but I didn't really do the whole beekeeping investigations and all. I basically got honey, you know what I mean? But and then growing up, I born and raised in Texas, and I left when I was like 18, Vietnam War and all that. And I didn't really I hate to say this, I don't want to offend anybody, but Texas wasn't my cup of tea
Yeah,
because I don't like the heat so much, and I love mountains. So
to
I was
know
in there.
that.
I was in the Air Force, and so I was up in Alaska for 10 years and Montana for 20, and then on Kauai for 3 years. And then I moved back here. We had some family issues, and just got my life getting back together. So I moved back and just to be with family. But then I ran into my beautiful wife, which I've known for since sixth grade, and she wasn't my wife, but anyway, she is now, and we've God sends you special gifts, and she is definitely one of them. And keeps me in line because I kind of go on the edge too much sometimes, and it costs me. But you know what? I just can't live any other way, man. You got to be out there having fun. We're outside in the outside. Isn't that cool?
It's gorgeous. It is. And
Yeah.
that's your bee yard. Is that one or
Yeah,
one?
that's one. I'm switching all those. Hey, can you no, that's okay. But there's a picture that shows all. I'm converting everything over to APPA. I'm just like crazy. People think I'm nuts, but that's partly true, but I really love these hives. I mean, I've had wood, I've had three stacks, double deeps and all that, and I've done that for years, and I just don't really like walking up to a triple deep. You know what I mean?
The
And so
older I get, the
I'm kind
more
of
I can
learning.
relate to that.
Yeah, and I'm kind of learning from Tom Seeley and a bunch of guys that are a lot smarter than me. The small hive beekeeping, it's really changed my whole view on things, and also with a single brood chamber, but also getting enough honey. And I've got like 100 hives spread out. I've got like 60 or 70 here in the main yard. And then I have other out yards, and I'm converting all those to APPA maize. I'm talking to the landowners that do some leases, and they said, "Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money." I said, "Yeah, but you see this box here that's 3 or 4 years old. It's rotten. It's got
Mhm.
holes in it, and the insulation is not that great. But can bees live in them? Sure, they can. They've done it for hundreds of years, and but the whole double deep thing, I in studying more and more, I look at the history, of beekeeping and what's been discovered. They thought the queen made it inside the hive 250 years ago,
That's
so
true.
they weren't that smart.
Yes.
And so we're
But we're
still
learning, you're saying.
yeah, we're still learning and guessing as we go, and that's what I just love about APPA. It's an innovation that I've never seen before, and I've got a thermal engineer, good friend of mine, Darwin Flynn, and he kind of got me onto APPA. As I said, man, I don't want that. I don't want anything plastic, I don't know, man. And so I started putting it off, and then I started researching. I got one. I'm going, oh my gosh, this is more than plastic. This is, it's UV protected. It's got an inch of foam all the way around it, R7. And my bees, I've tried it on a few at first, and they just did so much better in the summer when it's 105. I open it up, and they're just kind of content looking at me saying, "Hey, close it up. We're good." You
We're
know?
good, go on.
Yeah. And I do a lot of experiment stuff, and so I put like one frame brood through the winter in an APPA, and it's made it. Now I'm not saying that you could do that every year,
Wow.
but I do a lot of crazy stuff just to see what it would do. Because I don't know, when you read stuff, you're going, yeah, that's good, but I don't know if it's true. You can say it's true. It's just like screen bottom boards, solid bottom boards. Everybody's this big war going on. Well, I tried
Right.
them both, and I found out they both work.
That's something. Go figure, right? Well, I am on your page with the
Yeah.
APPA. That this, and let's just go down that road for a second.
Yeah.
To
Okay.
me, the longevity of it, it pays for itself. So what is the outside, lifespan of one? We don't know because they've not, every one of them that's been made still in service.
Right.
So who's to say how long they will last or won't
Yeah.
last? It's been a
Yeah.
minute. So the insulation factor, I think heat, and I know you've read an article or two, I certainly have, that heat in winter, heat's probably worse on bees than the winter is really when it all gets down to it. I
Yeah.
would rather have the investment in their housing and then them depend on, me supplementing nature with the food resources and go
Sure.
with that and have the housing sewn up. That's done. We're good. We're past it. I don't have to do the box maintenance every year that we still have to do.
Yeah.
It's just a really smart business move if you can do it.
It really is. And that's the thing. You're never going to see Appa Mays going to the almonds. You know what I mean?
No,
It's a commercial, and what I do and a lot of other is like night and day. We can
sure.
learn from both of them, but we can't get arrogant enough to where we think, we know it all. Because I'm still guessing. I do a lot of research, and I find out that what I find works, that's what I do. Even though someone says, "Well, that'll never work," but then I do it and it works. I'm going, I don't understand the math here. It's working. So
Well,
anyway, yeah,
some of that can be location, 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 right?
right.
What doesn't work for someone in one geographic part of our world will
Hmm.
work for another
Sure.
geographic part. So
Yeah.
we have to really take all of that with a grain of salt. And I'm going to make this we're going to call this a segue off into that slash Texas friendly beekeepers, because this really ties in all of these opinions and studies and research and methods that everyone does is put on social media, and it has in years past turned into a boxing match where it was, I'm right, you're right, no, and it was just this
It's called
brutal zone. Yeah,
it's called the Gorilla Pound.
yeah, right, I'm right, and how dare you.
Yeah.
And then step in, what year was it? Texas friendly,
Uh, 4 years ago,
four
something
years
like
ago.
yeah.
Step in Texas friendly beekeepers, and you got the word friendly in the mix.
Right.
And I joined instantly. And it was like you had written a prescription that said, we won't have arguing here and don't even try. And I know you deal with some in the background, but from an outsider looking in, you have the most wonderful group of, we are 10,400, I believe now, 4 years later, of camaraderie and fellowship between beekeepers of all levels joining in to give their expertise or their non-expertise, wherever they place themselves, and share it and not condemn the other for it. It is wonderful. Anybody listening that's not on it, get on it. Brilliant, Stan. It was brilliant, and we needed it so much
Yeah.
just for topics like what we're talking about.
Right. Right. Well, how that all came about is, I was on beekeeping techniques and just all these other ones, just trying to gain information. You know how people just kind of stand there, see all the arguing going on, and then it really got me is new beekeepers getting on these places and going, "Hey, I don't know, I want to get hives, and I don't know if I should go this way, or whatever." And then the whole arguing thing come, and then people responded, and not just one or two, but several on some of these pages. "You're an idiot. You don't get any bees yet, and don't take any honey the first year. You're an idiot." And, I mean, name calling, and
That's
then all of a sudden,
terrible.
guess what happens? They shut up.
Yeah.
Because who wants to go into a war with a hatchet coming at your head, you
You
know?
got it.
So I just kind of thought about it, I said, hey, let's just do something different and something that revolves around being kind, being nice, encouraging, those three things. You have that little picture of the little logo with Goober?
Do I don't know that I've got it downloaded though. What
Oh,
I'll do is I'll plan it in this video. How's that? I'll do
that'd
that.
be great. That would be great. Yeah, because it's about encouraging people,
Mhm.
empowering people, and the main thing is being nice and being helpful to people. And there's so many people that I mean, there's about 20 or 30 that are really, really smart, tons smarter than me, and I'm always running things by them. And
Yeah.
the admin and the mods we have on Texas Friendly Beekeepers is stellar. And I run things by them. Like there'll be a guy on there and goes, I'm gonna cuss if I want to and all that. And I say, well, no, you're not.
No, you're
You know,
not.
then all of a sudden, here's the thing that comes back. I want to tell you, Sherry. Comes back and says, well, you're not very friendly.
Oh, really?
And I'm going, well, the admin and the mods, you may think it's not friendly, but it's keeping in guidance with what the page is about. And if you don't like it, you can just go somewhere else, and I really don't I care in a way, but I really don't care because you can tell the people. And my wife, Bev, she's the gatekeeper of the people getting in, and she's like a screener. They'll get on there and she kind of reviews them pretty good, and then we ask certain questions. But one thing we don't want to be, Sherry, is a bunch of rules. You know how people, but there are certain guideline kind of rules. Cussing, and we've got young kids on here,
Sure.
F-bombs and all these things that go on. We're not going to let it go on. And
Good for you.
if I'm mean for doing that, well, call me Mr. Grinch, but it's
Well,
just, and it runs so much, I can spot, you can spot controversial subjects. Someone will say, hey, let's get a controversial subject going on so we can all get input and learn from it. That ain't true. Because you won't
no,
never, because you're bump. And the number one thing we do is if I'm doing, I love screen bottom boards or I love hard, solid bottom board. Okay. I like that. Right. Maybe so. I don't like what you're doing. So I say, well, as a rule sake, go start another page, go start another post, and then we'll respond with what works for you. But you're not going to go back and forth telling him he's stupid or we don't
that's
do it
right.
that way. Commercials do it this way. And, I'm a small hot beekeeper. I don't know where that falls in with all these names and categories, but that's kind of where we came up with that. And it seemed to, it was like three or four, 30 people, 100 people. And then all of a sudden I'm going, oh my gosh, why are all these people? And you know what it is? I know what it is. It's kindness.
It is.
People
It's
can't deal
infectious.
with kindness, and you're really taking the time to really just
Yes.
kind of see what's going on with them. And we got people all over that go drive their car over and help them.
Yeah.
How can that be not good for beekeeping?
It's
You know,
wonderful.
yeah,
It's
it's a good,
wonderful.
so that's kind
One
of
and
where.
bad going to come out of that, and it's going to outlive you and me both. And I think
Yeah.
that's wonderful. It's your footprint that you have
Right.
left for
Well,
folks in the future. I love
we
it.
have we have people from all over, even Europe and all
Oh
over, and
yeah.
the Northeast, Northwest, Central, whatever. And we've had people, you say, oh, it's Texas friendly, and the one friend of mine said, hey, you got to change that name. You got to call it the friendly beekeeper.
Okay, I take that.
Yeah.
I get it.
And he had a kind of a good point, but I don't want to do that.
No, I think you're good. I think you're good because I think that the two go together. Texas and
Yeah.
friendly should be synonymous anyway. And it's taught a lesson to a lot of me
Yeah.
included that we just have to do this the right way.
Yeah.
It inspires beekeepers, and we perpetuate beekeepers, we perpetuate bees, right?
Right.
Really and truly, we have to build this community of beekeepers, or our bees don't have a standing chance. It's
Yeah.
just how it is. And if we're running them off and scaring them off with the bad influences or bad, comments, then we're taking a disservice away from our bees. We're not doing a bit of good for our bees. I commend you for it, and so do a
Yeah.
lot of other people. So
Got
let's
to
talk.
be about, it's got to be about being fun. If
Yes.
I didn't like beekeeping and if it wasn't fun, if I'm just, oh, I hate this, I don't hate to go out there, man, I'd be playing golf or something, But
Right.
but I like beekeeping. Yeah.
We do too. We do too. I've told this story before. I will never forget the day James walked in and said, "I'm not having fun anymore." And it was
Uh-oh.
because we had, I'll say, too many hives. And is there such a thing? Maybe not for somebody else. Everybody has their too many. And we had hit our too many. And I'd gotten busy where I wasn't being able to help him as much. And that's when you go, okay, step back. We want to have fun. I love bees. So where do we get that's our happy space? And that's where you land. You'll
Yeah.
go up here and then, oh, maybe we need to scale back down and get there. And so now we're, we keep a reasonable amount, usually under 30, and we're good. It keeps up with our schedule. The bees are happy. We make lots of honey. It's all good, right?
That's fun. Hey, I got to tell you something real quick. I got a good friend of mine, Wes, and he, I'm always saying, man, I think I got too many bees, just like you're saying. And I said, man, I think I'm gonna downsize a little bit here. Then all of a sudden I get a call. Hey, we got a swarm over here. We got a bees in tree. I can't say no. I got to go. And so this downsizing turns into more. And now I got over 100. And that's pretty much where I want to stay because I do a lot of little experiments and all. It's kind of fun just messing with them, raising a few queens. And here's the number one killer that separates me and probably you too, is that I don't have to make money at it.
Yeah. No, we
And
don't anymore either.
that's what makes it fun. I get to help people, maybe learn a little knowledge that I've gained through other smart people and just kind of pass that along, but never in arrogance or, saying, hey, I know it all. I don't want to be like that. And if I ever come across like that, friends will tell me, hey, you're being a little uppity there. You know what I mean? So,
That's
anyway,
God putting somebody in our path to keep us in
yeah,
check, isn't it?
yeah. Because
Oh,
there's
I've
so,
never been there. No, that's never happened to me at all.
because we learn something every day, don't we?
Every day, every day.
How,
It's funny
how
you
can,
say that about me. I promise everybody we will change topics, but James is the bee whisperer, so we really
huh,
don't need that many hives. But he can take dinks and make them good, and y'all can too. It really just one day you wake up, and all of a sudden beekeeping's easy. I mean,
mhm.
really, truly, it kind of is. It's like okay, I do this, I do this, I do this. And really, if I take care of all of those things, the bees do pretty good. And I can't help but make bees, right? And doesn't that happen?
Exactly. And you know what's good about I used to hate dead outs and all, but anymore I'm kind of sometimes going, all right, resources.
Resources. Amen. I agree with you on that. We have been guilty of that
Yeah.
phrase
Yeah.
going, woo-hoo, strong come. We needed that for that colony over there.
The
Excellent.
more drawn comb.
Some more don't come. That's a business we need to be in. Hey, let's
Yeah.
talk about Stan's soft sugar bricks before you answer. I
Yeah.
want to preface it because this is an incredible product, and we talked about it. I don't know, it's been over 2 years ago now. Um, it's I'll say it was proprietary. You're the founder of it. You invented it.
Mhm.
And now we are blessed beyond measure to be the exclusive sellers of Stan's soft sugar bricks. It's got your wonderful face on the packaging and everything. And I'm gonna add this in there. 5% of it goes to Hives for Heroes of every sale, which is awesome. And we're happy, TBS is happy to do that. But I'm curious about the backstory of it.
Yeah.
And, without letting go of any trade secrets, how long did it take you to come up with it? And what were you seeing that was inspiring you to do it, to make something a better feed supplement? Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
Well, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was seeing every year all these newer beekeepers, their hives would starve out because they thought they had enough honey, but they didn't. And then all of a sudden, the beeves die and their butts are in the air in the comb. And I'm going, well, you got to supplement it somehow. But then the whole thing of sugar I don't feed sugar water in the winter because of the moisture and all. But then I started looking up north and all. They were pretty dominant on fondant and all that. So I got into fondant. And have you ever done that? Oh
We
my
have
gosh.
just started last year.
I don't the temperature thing, you got to get this over here. And it's
It's
like you
making
got
candy.
but yeah, it's like make candy, and I don't do that. So anyway, I saying, well, then I started looking at inverted sugar, and there's a whole process of how that happens. It's easier on the tongue of the bees, because regular sugar is like it's 4 times that their tongue wears out the little hairs on
I
hard
did not
sugar.
know that.
Yeah, yeah. And so if you make it a little softer, and that's why it's kind of soft sugar, but they can be hard, but the components, when they mix it with a little bit of water, it's softer. There's a lot of gone into that, but I had different hives and different segments of hives trying different things. I studied research with, different things over in, Europe and all these different studies they have. And so I just kind of put some things together and I tried them all out, and so the result of this is what's now stands off sugar brick. It's protein. It's a little bit of protein, and that was a big taboo. You go to any
Mhm.
a lot of people, oh, you can't feed, they'll brood up. So on one experiment, I gave them tons of protein. I g- and they brooded up a little, but they didn't overpower it. They know what they need, and people don't think they do, but they do. But the
And
little
when to do what with it.
yeah, exactly. And so the whole thing with the brick, you can feed it all times, all year long, but they'll eat the heck out of it and it costs you a fortune. So sugar water is always the best if you can feed it. But the
Mhm.
sugar brick has the, the energy, the sugar water, not sugar water, but there's sugar,
Right.
um, carbs and protein is just kind of what they need. And so I started putting that on the top, and because you want food right next to the cluster, because
Right.
they won't go an inch or two over, they'll starve. And so that was the idea, putting it right on top. And so I just came across a formula that really worked. And the main thing is that what was the outcome of it?
Mhm.
How did they do? That's going to be the proof in the pudding. I don't care if you feed your bees M&Ms. If you got
It
great
works.
bees and the box is full of bees,
Mhm.
then you start feeding them M&Ms. Don't care what anyone says, but what works. But this is really good stuff. Probiotic, just all kind of really nutritional. There's some spices and herbs. One of them is from Africa,
Yeah.
and old African beekeeper. He kind of did a whole thing on it, and I'm going, well, I never heard of that. That's kind of weird. And so it's been really, really good. And
And the bees are proving it.
what I love about it more than anything is that beekeepers don't lose their hives due to starvation. They'll lose them for mites and everything else, but if they blow through their honey, which they can on a warm week or whatever,
Mhm.
they'll blow
Mhm.
through those honey, and then they don't have anything. But if you got a soft sugar brick on which you can check in about 2 seconds, keep that on there, and sometimes it takes them 3 weeks, sometimes a month in the winter, and because their metabolism slows down, they just kind of munch, gives them contentment, and they live. And doesn't mean you should do away with honey, but I have. Matter of fact, I got 2 hives. Well, on the other yard over here, I've got 2 hives. I took all the honey out, and I just soft sugar brick
All
just
the
to
time.
experiment. And I've done it before, and they came back stellar. People say, "Oh, you can't feed them that." Well, you can, and it's sugar.
Yeah.
It's what
It's
bees kind of
carbohydrate.
what nectar
Yeah.
is. But if you add the other things that they give, they can live on it. But I don't recommend that to anyone. I'm just doing crazy Frankenstein
Well,
experiment.
no, you're justifying how good the product is to you and however you
No.
get there.
And the thing with Blake, Blake is such a sweetheart, man. I love that guy. He's so knowledgeable, and he's so like even keel. I want to see him when he's really mad, and he's throwing things around. Have you seen that yet?
Never. I've been his friend now for about 10 years and worked for him for 4, and everybody out there, y'all, never seen him mad,
He's
ever.
just like this. Wow, I love
The
that.
whole family.
He calls me up, because people, over the 3 or 4 years they've been, I just call, that's my sugar brick, and then everybody started calling it. Well, that's Stan's soft sugar, so they started getting, they started when they wanted me to do all this stuff. Anyway, push comes to shove, he calls me and he goes, "Hey, Stan, we want to carry your soft sugar brick." I said, "Oh, really? That's kind of cool." He goes, "Well, the only caveat," he uses that word a lot, caveat. He said, "The only caveat, it has to be called Stan's soft sugar brick." I'm going, okay, but then some people don't like that because they're going, "Oh yeah, you got your name. You're selling these. That's got your name, Stan Soft Sugar." Hey man, you can call it Ed Soft Sugar. I don't care. But that's what they wanted. And I said one thing, praying and everything about it. God said, you can't take any money on this. I said, really? So I
Really?
said, okay. I gave it all, anything, there's no money in Stan's pocket. It all goes to, my part goes to Highs for Heroes, which I am a board
Awesome.
member of. And, we encourage veterans and all, we get them hooked up. Because, bees, man, they're just so mind captivating, such a spiritual thing. And
They
it
really
kind of
are.
away from all that crap with war and all the injuries and PTSD. And so it's a great organization. So I'd recommend anyone to click on their link too. So anyway,
Yeah, I interviewed Steve. It was this year, and I encourage everybody to go back and look at that. Hives for Heroes is completely.
yeah,
It should be prereq. It should be a curriculum that every post-war individual, male or female, is afforded, because it is such a wonderful program, and we thank you for
yeah.
that. I mean,
And,
we're
and
proud as
first
tech.
responders also, yeah. First
Yeah.
responders on there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's a wonderful product, and I will tell you, I'm not products in the company, thankfully. I like my place. But I know, because I'm sitting in a meeting or two every once in a while, like a lot, and it is top of the list of the product that we cannot keep on the shelf. We sell out of it nonstop, and if you have not tried it, just try it, because it's incredible. Our bees ask for it by name. They're like, okay, we gotta
Yeah,
have this.
that might be a stretch.
Okay, maybe
Uh,
so. Maybe a stretch. All right. Well, you
But
get
y'all
the,
got some, Blake was saying, I haven't seen it there at the store there, but they evidently they bought some new ovens, some
they did.
commercial ovens, and Kyle over there, he's like making them nonstop.
We
I
have
love,
full-time employees just making stand soft sugar and brick at 2 locations.
get out of town.
Get out
Wow.
of town.
How
That's
you
all.
like how you like that Kyle?
Love him. Kyle Cosby, he's great. Anybody that's in the Dayton area, please. He's a book of knowledge, and any
So
conference,
good.
we
Yeah.
would send him to the Texas conferences. So yeah, good guy. Thanks for bringing that up.
Um,
I want to ask you some question about some bees. Let's talk about beekeeping. We don't want to lose everybody. We got to talk about beekeeping.
Beekeeping. Okay.
Winter's hard on bees. Do you do anything differently to manage your hives over winter, other than stands, bricks,
Yeah. Yeah.
to prevent the winter losses? Because, BIP typically, that's their focal point. We're talking about winter losses when we report those losses in April. What does Stan Gore do to try to minimize your losses?
You know what I've learned over the years is that what really matters is a lot of bees. Same thing with small hive beetles and everything. You get a lot of bees in a box, and I don't mean double deeps and all that, because I don't want to feed 2 or 3 deeps of bees. You know what I mean? I want them small, because I know what's going to happen in March and April. They're going to take off, and so
Right.
you get healthy. All those hives you see back here, there is a lot of bees in those, and I always keep the honey. I move the honey next to the brood, and then I have an empty, some frames in there, drawn comb and all, but it's very minimal. Food, good dry location, and an APPA is so good, and nutrition. And
Mhm.
so you keep that combination together, and then basically leave them alone. Right now they're kind of flying a little bit, but that's one of those. We had a thing on the other day. Someone was, I think it was Jason, was talking about it. If you see bees, and if they're not flying, don't open it up. That's a good gauge. People say, well, what's the exact temperature? Well,
Yeah,
I've seen bees out here flying at 39 degrees.
I know. We've
So
got those bees too.
yeah, there's not a set temperature, but you walk up there and they're not coming out, leave them alone. What are you going to do anyway if you find something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. And so that's basically, it's pretty, like you said, simple.
Mhm.
Beekeeping is simple, but it's easy to fail at. That's one of the
Mhm.
things people, and you'll see them post on Texas Friendly, there's like one half of a frame of bees and then all this empty space. And they're going, are my bees going to make it? And I'm going to say, probably not.
Probably not.
Because your
Probably not.
homework starts, as Blake says, in August.
Mhm.
Getting those beef fat, feeding them.
Mhm.
And I'm a big, proponent of nutrition, no matter nature and all that. Natural beekeeping to me is the hole in the tree. That's what I call natural
Yeah.
beekeeping. But the other, we just feed the that
That's some of them.
say crap, but I just did.
That's
Anyway,
okay.
just feed them a lot, get them
Good one.
fat, and healthy, and then get them small. I break down everything, to where I get them usually right after the flow, because I get, I usually get 50 or so pounds of honey. And if you got 100 hives, how much honey do you need? I got like
That's a lot.
25-gallon things in my extra bedroom. I don't need all that honey. First, you got to have a way to move it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't want to give it away, but that's the key for me because the bees, the honey period, March through June, that's
Mhm.
when I want them, making brood and just going. You can make splits. And as far as helping new people, they say, how can I do it in a small hive? Well, you get a small hive, but then as the brood in May or April, it starts to expand. Well, as soon as you get over 3 or 4 frames of brood, pull them, put them in a jester, and then get some empty comb like that, and make splits, and either give them away, which I'm a proponent just giving
Us
bees
too.
away.
Us too.
You can, or you can get $150 for them, and then you always have like extra queens, and that's one thing I see that it's not done a lot. A lot of friends of mine, they kind of taught me that is that have a bank of, I got a whole roll over there that's just basically for extra queens. Because when you're in
Resource colonies. We call those resource colonies.
resource college, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And so that's the one I could, I preach that a lot because I just know it works. And I was taught that. So I just kind of pass along what others have taught me. Yeah.
Well, the single hive and James, he wrote an article and he kind of got your help with it a couple of years ago. I lose track, y'all. If 2 or 3, could be 5. Okay. Um, about doing running single deeps, and we are doing it. We've got a few, we've got some that are double deeps, but
Yeah.
the older you get, the easier it is to just deal with one. And I mean, there's a time of year that we obviously put supers on and queen excluders. There's a method to that. Go back and read that article. I've posted it several times in the magazine. But you can overwinter with single deeps with no problem if you're full of bees and they're well fed, right?
That's right.
And then get
Yeah.
that May hive circled around them. How can you go wrong, right?
I don't know where the idea came from having big colonies going into winter. It doesn't make sense to me, but I kind of see what they want to do. They want to assure in the spring, I guess, they have plenty of bees, but I tell you, they make bees. If you do right and
They
they're
do.
healthy, suckers are going to be taken off.
We
And
did I think I know where it came from, to be honest with you. Morris, I'm gonna say his last name wrong, Ostrowski, starts with an O, Ostrowski,
huh,
did a program called Maximizing Honey Production in
huh,
probably 2010, 2013, something like that. And it was so good. And it had everything to do with building that second deep. And I mean, it had his research behind it. And I'm with you that it worked for him and it worked for us for a long time and still
huh.
does really, in essence, for probably half our hives. It, it's that theory that you want to have 60,000 bees to
Yeah.
get the maximum amount of honey production because there's so many beekeepers wanting that to kind of help pay back. It's the
Yeah.
payback for my investment. So I think that's where it came from. But we're finding that the 45,000 we can jam into a single deep because we can is you're going to get the same amount of work as long as you don't run them off, as long as you manage them sufficiently where you're not inciting swarms with that. You're not just getting them so big that they run out of space. You work it with a super. But I
Right.
think that's where it came from, Stan, is the
Cool.
theory is
Well,
that way.
I think I've read some of that, and man, that is so good for someone who commercial. If they want honey production, don't follow what I do because I'm not into that. I don't want to
Right.
make gobs of honey, but some people do, and so what I do is not going to work for them. But I just know what I love. I'm 70 years old, so it's like I don't want to do the triple D, and I run all deeps. I don't, I think Kyle was talking about, and he was telling us about how the commercial, the double deeps and all. That's kind of where that came from. Is that
It's,
but he runs a story and a half, with a deep and a medium. And that's cool too. I got friends that do that too. And I used to do that, but I got tired of two sizes of equipment.
I know, I
Oh,
know. Our great, Lynn Jones,
oh,
she's
Lynn Jones. Yeah.
yeah, super writer. She's been writing an article for me for for gosh, 3 years now. And she's got an article that's going to be in the same issue that we're going to publish this, the January issue, about doing all mediums. And we can talk about that for a second. It's
Yeah.
super for those that really want to do it. Continuity of size in your hive boxes is huge. And you just said that. I want to be all deeps, or I want to be all mediums. Pick
Right.
one and stick with that, because when you start intermingling it, it does become a problem, doesn't it?
And I've gone back and forth twice. I sold all my mediums.
We did that too.
Did too. And then I
Oh
said,
yeah.
I don't want mediums. I'm gonna go all mediums. So I went all mediums. I didn't really care for that too much because, you know, a medium thing of honey and a deep frame of honey is like, whoa, you know what I mean? But both are fine. But I just love that you don't have that, you know, when you put a medium in a deep box and they build that other story.
Yes, I do.
You ever done that?
No, no, never happened around here. No, yeah, it has happened. I've got the pictures to prove it, where you pull up this and you're like, okay, well, beekeeper, oops, there, right? That's our goober moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did sell all of our mediums 2 years ago, almost to the day. You could go back and find the Facebook post where we sold, I don't know, 50 supers with, because we were just going to downsize, and I've probably paid for all of those again, because now, so
But you
lesson here, folks,
you
don't
paid more
sell it.
you paid more for what you sold them for, I
Oh
bet.
sure. Oh yeah, of course. And it was drawn comb. I mean,
Yeah.
is
Oh,
there,
drawn comb.
yeah,
Oh,
oh yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah. And so now we had to completely, start
Yeah.
over. But so lesson learned there, just get a bigger barn.
You know which really helped me a lot is I went and paid the $6,000 for a triple freezer commercial. It's got 3 doors. And it is like awesome because you can just store honey. You know, people say I don't have enough honey. Well, I make honey. When I do that, I pull and I put one in there, and I have honey available. Like if they run loose, or sometimes, you know, I'll even open feed it, 300 feet away in the
Sure,
winter,
absolutely.
in a snack, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? But I have those resources, and that to me, learning through the years is that it's all about resource. Be prepared, because you'll see it all the time. Hey, I got these bees that don't have any boxes, well, have boxes, just prepare. But we all, we learning curves, right?
Yeah, that's why we opened the bee supply store, was because
Yeah.
every time we go out to the bee yard, we go, oh.
Oh,
And
you're right.
everybody that didn't know that, yes, and
You're close.
we
Yeah.
don't have it anymore. We're proud to not, proud
Yeah.
to pass that on to somebody else that we dearly love. So, how often do you check your bees during the winter?
Oh man, I don't check them that much. I'll check for like soft sugar brick, about once every 3 or 4 weeks, but it has to be a warm stretch,
Mhm.
70s. But if it's if it's cold, I know they're good. And really checking them, what am I going to do anyway?
That's a great answer. I talked to David Burns a few weeks ago, and he's in Illinois, and same answer. You just go in and peek. We just really need to be cognizant of that. And I love that if the bees aren't flying, they don't
Yeah,
want you in their house. So don't go in
exactly.
there. But don't over keep them during the winter. Trust that you've done it right when going in,
Yeah.
and kind of leave them alone. So if
You
you
see
were to
that?
see, go
Did you
ahead.
see that? Did you see that cartoon that I made on the APPA made with the little bee inside talking to the other bees?
I
Have
have
you?
not seen it yet.
You'll have to check it out. I
I
got a
will.
friend of mine that's an illustrator, and and I was a Gary Larson, groupie growing up. You know Gary Larson with the
Uh,
does the little captions and cartoons, and
oh
it's
yes, yes, of
funny.
course.
Yeah. Well, I loved him, and so I kind of picked up his humor in a way, a lot of that. So I think of these things a lot. My brain is weird. That people say you're crazy. Yeah, I am. But you've got these things that might be funny. You can't be funny all the time, but it's kind of cool, and you'll see they're funny if people tell you they're funny. But if you don't hear anything, that was a downer.
You
But we
know.
got to keep trying to make people laugh, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I think that what you're saying is that you've got humor like James Elam, okay? So every once in a while he'll say something, I'll say, honey, people don't get your humor. They don't
Bev,
get it. He'll say, but it was
Bev will
funny in here.
Bev will agree to that, right, honey?
It was funny in here.
Oh,
That's okay. So
weird.
I think I ought to finish that one question with, so if we see something really bad, right now, of course, I can't say right now because this video will be watched well over thousands of times and all over. Um, we're warm. I mean, I've got a long sleeve shirt on, but it's 60,
I'm
50 degrees
nice.
here today. One reason God put me in Texas. Um, but if you are in somewhere that's cold and we find something that's wrong, what do we do? I mean, do we react? Do we just go, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't see that?
Hope they
What
make
would
it.
you do? What?
Hope they make it.
Hope to make it.
Yeah. Well, that's a real tough one. So what are you saying? What you would find that would be bad? What do you?
Well, down to no bees, we really see they're out of resources and we're down to 2 frames of bees. They're clusters the size of my fist,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. I'd shake them out in another hive and then put those all in my freezer.
Those frames in your
It's just,
freezer.
man, you can't make things happen, and I get to where I get kind of freaky about, combining anymore a lot. And I do combine, but it's like, okay, these are failing, and why are they failing? And I'm
Uh,
gonna throw all those bees in a real healthy hive. What am I doing? I don't really know. I can guess they'll be okay, but what do you think about that? I mean,
I
that's
think
kind
that that's so true.
of,
We attended a talk, very good, Dr. Lamas talk at
uh-huh.
a conference at the TBA conference in November. And to hear the expert on Varroa, Varroa are back here working and we don't even know it until it's almost like it's too late. When we're so reactive when it comes to hives, aren't we?
Yeah,
In general, in beekeeping, it's reactive instead of being proactive, which is what we really teach. And as instructors, we teach be proactive, 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 and test, and make sure that you're staying in front of your varroa. But he was adamant that even when you're seeing it in your test, your post at things have already happened.
yeah,
So we've just got to stay on top of the management.
yeah.
That's really it.
And that's the thing with Tom Seeley is that he has his whole thing got me into brood breaks. And there's another guy, Mel DeCicilline, that I can't remember his last name. Uh, he does the grafting of the bees with the hive tool. What's that called? But anyway, he's talking about this the brood breaks. You can 7. And I'm starting to do that more and more, just because after the honey flow, or after the actual harvest, they're kind of they're up for experiments, because I just want them to last until the next spring, you know what I mean? So we're doing all
Right.
these things, and brood breaks are wonderful. As Tom Seeley says, that's what they do in nature. That's why Africanized bees do so well. Um, oh shoot, Tony, his bees,
Yeah.
they never have varroa issues, but they'll kill you. You know what I mean? So we don't want that. Well, some do, but
I don't.
those brood breaks are really cool. And there's have you seen that frame? You sell them. I think I bought them from y'all. That it's a single deep frame. It's all queen excluder, and you put the
Yeah.
queen in there. You can isolate her.
The
Yeah,
frame
and
cave.
so you can
Yeah.
put her like 7 days, to 10 days or whatever, and get that brood break, because it puts a bump in the life of a row. It hurts them, you know.
Fruit breaks are
And
great, it really scratches that itch. To me, it scratches that itch of the beekeepers that really don't want to use synthetics,
yeah,
chemicals. I mean, if
uh,
you'll do it, really get strategic about it and sit down and put pen to paper, put logic about, know the bee biology before you go in with all willy-nilly, know bee biology and life cycle of the bee, and then set a schedule to your brood breaks. And I think you can be very successful with that. You don't have to always throw chemical all year long in to control varroa mites. I'm a firm believer in that, because we do that. We do that. And with splits a lot, but also just the kind of the middle of the road brood breaks.
well, you
Um,
talk about a can of worms, that the whole thing with the treatment free, and this chemical and that natural chemical, and all these different things. What a bucket of worms. If I'm a new person and people throw all that at me. I'm going, what the heck?
No,
It's complicated. Isn't it?
it is.
I mean, we don't have the crypto, we don't have the silver bullet yet, but we got to do the best we can, you know.
We do. We
Yeah.
do. And that's all any
Anyway.
of us are doing, right? We're just doing the best we can.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
years down the road, we're going to see that there will be some kryptonite or something that hopefully everybody can go, you remember back when, you know, those people,
Yeah.
they were having to deal with, they'll
Those
laugh at this
people.
video. Those people, they won't remember our names either, Stan. It's okay though. It's
Right.
okay.
And you look back here at all the APPA, right? And one day, probably, I don't know, 5, 10 years, there's going to be something better than those. And that's why you always have to, I like staying on the edge of innovation and, reasonable, because there's some people, they make a one in, I think out of China, it's an imitation APPA, but it's
Yeah.
half, and it's a rip off. And so I don't like buying those. Some people do, but I'd rather, I know the owner of APPA pretty good. He's a solid, brilliant PhD guy. You wouldn't think so. He kind of acts like me, kind of funny.
Don't shortchange
But
yourself.
anyway, I think be open-minded. And
Yeah.
if something ever comes better than APPA, these will be half price. Somebody wants.
And we'll hope that you don't regret selling them after you get them sold and have to rebuy them
Yeah,
all
that's what'll
again.
happen. I'll go back to, yeah. But for right now, they're the best thing cooking as
Yeah,
far
I
as.
agree with you. I agree with you. And Standon, we've not endorsed him at all. We sell the product and
Yeah.
we sell it very well. APPA is a very good selling product, and you've been an excellent testimony for it.
Yeah. I'm
We
glad.
wholeheartedly agree
All right.
completely. So how do you think your bees are going to do this winter? The what is it? The almanac says we're going to have a really super cold, wet winter. And for those, before you answer, but we're December, where we're talking is in December, so this is going to come out in January. Our winter, Texas winter, doesn't even start till January. Just so you know.
Right.
What do you
Yep.
think? Are you believing this almanac that we're going to have a really tough winter and our bees are going to come out going, let me have another month?
I don't know, man. I have doubts on things that man writes. I mean, God controls the weather, but could
Yeah.
be. I guess we'll see. If people say these things like in the almanac and it doesn't come true, you never hear about that, do you?
No, you don't.
It may be the worst one ever, and then we go, man, that thing was right. But
It was.
I don't know.
It's
You
like
got
Snowmageddon in 21.
Is that when that was? 21?
It was 21. It was 2021, February here, right before Valentine's Day of 21. It was tough. And for those that weren't beekeepers during that, we dropped Southeast Texas, and I think your area as well. We all dropped to single digits for about a week solid. It was a little over a week solid, and a lot of folks lost their hives. We didn't lose a single hive. Not a single hive.
Really?
No, but something you said a minute ago is why, and it's keeping food right next to the cluster, whether it's a stand soft sugar brick on top and honey sandwiched, it acts as an insulator. They've got foods are almost, it's like they can just reach over, get a bite and go back to doing their
Yeah.
sugaring. Keeping that clustered where they're not trying to migrate, plus it insulates them. It's an insulator. So yeah, that was
And
20.
I've even got the comb thing and kind of scrape the honey just a little bit sometimes, just to make it. It just sometimes that it'll freeze up pretty good, and it's kind of hard for them. Anyway, that's what a smart guy told me. I tried it and it seemed to do really well. So
So
that's
scarf you just scarf it's like I even have one
yeah,
somewhere. That's a good
just a little
tip.
bit, kind of breaks open that.
I'm
And
gonna call that a helpful tip. I'm writing that down. I will
but they
be.
don't. I don't think they eat that much. You know what? A lot of times too, you'll through the winter, if it's not a really cold winter in Texas, which is kind of rare, but you'll kind of look in there and some of that honey, they don't hardly touch it.
No.
They prefer my experiments, they prefer sugar, sugar water or soft sugar brick. They prefer that over honey. that's kind of interesting,
Do you
you
think
know.
it's because they are of the mindset, and this is me putting a personality and complete deep thought to every individual bee. Do you think it's because they're driven to save? You know, this is put back for an
Oh
emergency.
yeah.
It's for an
They're
emergency. I can't have that because it's for an emergency.
yeah, because they're hoarders, you know,
Yeah,
they're so they see that as food and then let's get it and let's store it
yeah.
instead of and they
And given
probably
any other option, they'll take it instead of
yeah.
consume their own honey. But of old,
Right.
I won't call him old because he'll see this video. An an older, wiser beekeeper than me, our mentor, told me that feed when you can, because honey is more expensive than sugar.
Yeah.
So I
It's
do
funny you
that. We
mentioned
do
that.
do
I
that.
just was talking to a friend of mine about a month or so ago, and he said the same thing. I'm going, man, I never really thought of that too much, but it's true. You
Mhm.
know, it's more expensive. Man, have you bought a few bags lately? Oh my, of sugar?
I don't
Oh
even
my.
want to talk about it. I want to be able to claim sugar as a dependent.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Does anybody feel our pain?
Yeah, that's right.
It's, well,
I
we
know
just,
it.
we, yeah, yeah. I won't even go down that road. When James
Okay.
says we gotta buy sugar, I just go, no, not again, not again, not again. Well, hey, we're gonna, we ought to stop because we could talk and
Okay.
chat all day long. Um,
Well,
go ahead.
no, I was going to say, you're going to the Bee Expo, right? In
Yes,
Kentucky? Yeah. So we're excited about that. If anybody can go, man, I push that conference as such a family oriented, there's going to be 3,000 people this year.
I know.
Unbelievable. And it's good to see your face, but everyone's community and they talk and they smile. It's so good. So anyway,
Anytime you can get together, and I'm gonna make that takeaways, anytime you can get together with like-minded people, whether it's on Texas Friendly Beekeepers Facebook page or it's at a conference, do it. Take advantage of that, because the just the camaraderie and being able to stand around and visit with people like you, because people, you're very
yeah.
approachable and we're approachable. If you got a question, walk up to somebody and ask. And everybody out there, ask the questions. We're not going to fuss at you about it. We want to help, you know, we want to help.
I didn't we both didn't know everything when you started either. You just kind of guessed. And we're still kind of guessing, but we're a little hopefully we're a little bit more educated and we know what kind of works best and
Yeah.
we just keep at it, right?
I'm going to write a book that's called Things Not to Do in Beekeeping.
Oh, I like that.
I am.
Well,
Anybody else beat me to it? Go for it, because I'm too busy writing your magazine. It's okay. I know what
it'll
not
be
to do.
it'll be a it'll be a thick one.
It'll be a thick one for sure. Stan, thanks so much
All
for
right.
joining me. I truly appreciate it. And everybody check out Stan. He will be personally answering your questions, among other expert, don't say the word, people with a little knowledge on the Texas Friendly Beekeeping page. Thanks, Stan. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in Kentucky.
All right. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. Thank you.